Hello, Hockey World. It is Thursday, May 22nd, 2025.
I'm Luke Ravitz.
And I'm Eklund. You're watching the Hockey Buzzcast on hockeybuzz.com. This is the podcast that comes to you usually like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, sometimes Fridays, to fill you in on the comings and goings in the hockey world. And I am at the beach house today. So they have this big switch here because mostly old people who live in this like complex that I'm in. And they have a switch here that they turn from cold to hot. So basically, they changed it. It was heat all winter. Now it's air conditioning, and yet it's like 50 degrees. So that's why I'm wearing my vintage Canucks jersey today. And we were just talking about it. I mean, I like it. It's funny because a lot of people hated this at the time.
I like it. It's classic. Can't go wrong with
it too. Like, it's funny how like jerseys I hated when I was a kid. I hated the original Canucks jersey before this one, which had just the square and the hockey stick through it.
Yeah. I don't like that one either. Really.
I thought that was pointless. Yeah. I couldn't understand what it even meant. But I hated that one. But then that became like one of the most popular selling jerseys in 2010, like right around then. I did a thing on which jerseys were popular, and that was one of them, which was blowing my mind, like because everybody couldn't stand it when it was out. The Devils jersey, like the original green.
Actually, they've been wearing that recently.
I like it too.
I like it, especially during like Christmas time, like December when they.
Yeah, absolutely, it's festive. And they have. I at the time when it was out originally, like I couldn't stand it. I thought it was horrible. But it's just fun. I like it now.
Some jerseys grow on people sometimes.
They do. There's a common thing about classic. It's a vintage thing, right? Like a vintage stuff is always popular. Like bell bottoms are back for some reason. So who we know. What do we know about that? But we're not going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about other things. We're going to first talk about these first two games of the Final Four, as I like to call it. The other Frozen Four. So so let's start with Florida and Carolina. What were your thoughts on that?
I mean, right from the get-go, Florida just came out hot, like right away. Classic Panthers playoff hockey, relentless, physical, getting pucks on net. Nothing really Freddie could do. I mean, to be honest, that's probably one of the worst defensive performances by the Hurricanes I've seen by them the whole playoffs. And it just kind of weird though. Like, it was their first home loss of the playoffs. They were 5-0 before this.
Yeah.
And now Florida's 5-1 in their last 6 games. So, they've hit their stride at the right time.
They really have, and to me, the shots were almost equal. So it really came down to the goalies, and Anderson's. I'm just not a Frederik Andersen guy. Like I don't buy him as being like the savior. Like Carolina waits for him to get hurt. He's hurt, and they
he always gets hurt. I feel like though.
Yeah, he does, and they count the days till he gets back. And I'm like, this is just Frederik Andersen we're talking about here. Like this is, he was okay when he was with Anaheim a long time ago.
He was actually pretty good with Toronto. I feel
pretty good with Toronto, yeah, but they still didn't win playoff games. So it's like the reality is, I think that Carolina has always been like a goaltending issue, and I thought their backup now, the Russian kid.
Who is their backup?
It's a Russian, goes in the chat room. Guys, help me out. Sorry, I'm coming off a concussion. I can't remember anything. But anyway, I thought he was going to be the guy in the future. Like I thought he was going to be the guy, and they're not going to him at all. So,
well, also I think plays like a factor in it. You see Bobrovsky on the other side making huge saves for the Panthers that kind of kept them in the game early, and then once he found his groove, the players backed him up on that and just started firing on that, and that can get in another goalie's head a little bit when you have one of the best goalies of the decade playing out of his mind still. It can kind of get to you. So
he's definitely got inside. He's got it's Kochetkov, which I appreciate.
Oh, yeah, that's who it was.
And they also have Spencer Martin, who I guess is their next option. But yeah, they've. I agree with you. To me, the thing that I would talk about the Florida Panthers is I have never seen a team, and I've watched this for like 40. I've been aware since 1976 of hockey, so whatever that is, and I guess roughly 50 years. I've never seen a team better at pinching than the Florida Panthers.
Exactly. Just every player on their team buys in.
Yeah.
I think a common theme this past playoffs has been just the power play, and teams have been capitalizing on it, and they had the power play came up huge. They had 2 goals on it, and the goals both from third and fourth line guys. So it was just a full team effort.
Yeah,
we've seen that for the past 4 or 5 years. This Panthers team, everyone just buys in. They play that classic playoff style. That's really why they're so successful with it. And they've had 12 postseason goals from defensemen, and that's the most among the remaining teams. So that's something to keep in mind. So, I mean, we'll see what happens game 2. Game 2 is crucial for the Panthers. If they lose game 2, I'm not Panthers, the Hurricanes.
Oh, yeah.
If they lose game 2, the series should be over sooner than later.
They're done. I mean, I think that, and it's a shame. I mean, the Panthers have a really well-balanced scoring attack for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And they're faster. I thought there would be more problems for Florida because they're faster than Leafs, I think, in general.
Oh,
like, I think, but at least have some fast guys, but they have
Nylander and Marner.
Yeah. And I think we should talk about the Leafs for a second too. Like, what would you do on this? It's such a weird situation. I mean, it's not fair to put all those years of losses on this team. Like, it's just
they've been through a lot.
It's so bizarre, like I just feel bad for the players because they're just, it's not their fault that they haven't gotten since 1992 or whatever to the conference finals. I mean, that has nothing to do with them. And I like what Brad Marchand said after the game, as a Panther, he said that he became the first player, check this out, to ever eliminate a team in game 7 5 times.
I didn't know that. I mean, I'm not surprised because, I mean, the Bruins and the Leafs played each other.
Yeah.
It seemed like every year, and it would always go game 7. So, I mean,
first guy in NHL history to do that.
Yeah, that's crazy. But going off of that, I mean, Matthew Tkachuk was on the Spin Chicklets pod the other day, and he kind of said something very similar where, like, they're a great team. It's just unfortunate that, like, the media there is – I mean, hockey's life in Toronto. So, like, it's going to be, like, crazy there. So, I don't know. I really don't know what's going to happen. I mean, Shanahan, I saw yesterday, is taking an interview with the Islanders. I don't know what's going to happen with that.
Yeah.
And that's crazy. But to be honest with you, this offseason, their first priority, I've been saying this, I mean, since I've started the pod with you, like, they need to re-sign Nyes. That's their number one priority. He's kind of the center of their puzzle piece. He can do anything for them. And, like, as far as Marner goes, I could definitely see he's definitely going to go to a different team.
I feel like
he's tired of being put on pressure, being that Toronto kid. I think he just wants a change of scenery. And I saw JT wants to stay. I wouldn't be surprised if they give him a little deal there. A little pay cut if he wants to stay home. So I don't know. They're literally the Cowboys of the NHL, though. It's like their fans have such high expectations, but it's the same thing every single year. And something's got to change.
I mean, you can't blame the fans on it, right? Like, you can't that they are like to the fans. It's just the Maple Leafs. It is.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter who's on the team or whatever. It's the Maple Leafs every year. But the reality was, like Brad Marchand said, this is the best team he's eliminated in Game 7. The best Leafs team. He said this team had more structure. They had more of a system going on. They played really hard, and this was a tough. I mean, it took Florida to 7. We see how good Florida is. I mean, it's like this is not. Florida could very easily win the cup here. So
100%.
So when you take that to a Game 7, but they've done that before. That also doesn't like they took Boston to a Game 7 the year Boston won the cup.
I feel like most second round series are always going to Game 7. It seems like
it does seem like that, And I think to get moving to the other one, I think we're in for a 7-game series there too.
100%. Oh, what a game!
That was a great game. That was
I mean, I had that game on. I was on YouTube TV, so you could do the split screen. So I had that game on, and I'm not like the biggest NBA guy, and like especially now the Sixers are really bad. But I had the Knicks Pacers game on, one of the craziest games. So I saw 2 choke jobs side to side with each other. It was pretty funny, but great game.
I heard about the basketball game. That's crazy. The whole thing, it was just and it really looked like Edmonton was just going to run it out. They look like they're going to run it over them. But again, goaltending. I have to say, I know that there were 3 power play goals. and everything like that, and that's tough. But with 2 of those goals, they could have been better on, like, for sure.
That Duchesne goal for
Yeah.
sure. And then, I mean, they're Pickard and like Skinner. They've been like pretty good this postseason compared to previous goaltenders in the playoffs, but it's just inconsistency, you know. Like Dallas went 3 for 3 on the power play in the third period, 5 unanswered straight goals. Like, it's just unacceptable in a playoff game, especially when you have two of the best players in the world on your team, and you got that hot of a start. I mean, I'm not even surprised because I knew that I just had a feeling Dallas was going to win that game 1. And I mean, I don't know what to say with the Oilers. They need to figure it out. Their defense did not look good last night, especially in the third period. So we'll see what happens game 2. I mean, I don't know.
It really feels to me like they only played like 10 minutes poorly. The Oilers, and that's we hear that a lot, you know. But I mean, there's 3 power play goals were within 6 minutes of each other, obviously, and that changes it from 4-1 to from 3-1 to 4-3 for Dallas, and you know. I was really fired up by that building. That building was
I mean, it was dead in the first couple of years. And you got to give credit to Ottinger. I mean, he came up huge in the first. It could have been 5-0 in the first period. McDavid had a sick play where
that was crazy.
He dragged the defender. if he got a little bit higher, probably would have went in. But I mean, that's why he's their guy. Like, he comes up big in the big time moments. And I mean, the start going back to the power play. Last year the Stars were 0 for 14 against Edmonton in the playoffs.
Yeah,
and they scored 3 in the first game. So it's crazy.
It's fun. That's what makes the playoffs so awesome. You know, you don't know what's going to happen next. It's like, you know, you can think you know where it's going, but it's not going there necessarily. And that's what I loved about watching that game last night. And I grew up in an era where there was like this furthest southern teams were like the Washington Capitals actually were like the furthest southern team I could think of.
Mm-hmm.
And like before that, like the Atlanta Flames, but I was really young for the Atlanta Flames. Mm-hmm. But so it's amazing now when I look at this, like we got, you know, Dallas, Carolina, Florida. Yeah. All 3 of these teams are southern teams. All 3 of the buildings are ridiculous. They're all like crazy loud. Like, and it's just where hockey's come is just amazing because I used to go to they had the place called the Cap Center where the Capitals played, and it was right on 95, so it was really easy to get to. So when the Flyers played down there, a lot of people would go down and watch the game there because Flyers tickets were hard to get, and the building was always half Flyers fans and like maybe a quarter Capitals fans and then no one else in the building, and that was like everybody said that's hockey in the South. It'll never take on, you know. It's just like
it's really great to see the game growing. See all these fans really passionate down there. Like, it's awesome. Like, that's all we want as hockey fans, to see the game grow, not only in the US, but internationally. And I mean, these playoffs have kind of proved it. Like, I've seen a lot of people on social media say like they weren't really big into hockey, but they've tuned into these playoffs and it's made them big fans. So it's awesome.
Yeah. I agree with you. And that's one of my favorite things because I feel like as one of the few like quote unquote insiders that gets put with like the Canadian insiders. I'm one of the few American insiders, like me and Greg Brzezinski, you know, like we get put in as these American insiders. And I just really can't say enough. I just love to talk about American hockey and like how well it's doing. And I love to be able to have an opinion because when I first started this, it was just me. And I used to say, you don't matter. Cause I went up to Sportsnet and did a show and I said something like really they had me on Sportsnet on the air and they asked me a question. I gave them a response that I thought was really legitimate. And like, well, that's, you know, that sounds like the American responding to that, you know, like,
yeah. I mean, you're seeing guys come from Florida, Texas, California. I mean, all these places you wouldn't think of. Yeah. And I mean, you got to give credit to the NHL for what they've done. Yeah, they do the global series.
Yeah.
Maybe they could do a little bit better job of marketing, in my opinion. But I mean, you're seeing it slowly, but the game's growing for sure.
Yeah, and
compared to 10 years ago.
Yeah, it's really nice down in the South, like to see this because it's so weird how different it is. We did not mention Blast Show yet. Steve, but we will mention that. Because we're going to get into coaches, and so the big hirings. We've had a couple of big hirings already. Jeff Blashill today to Chicago is an interesting one. I like Blashill. I think he'll be a good coach there. I think that they needed somebody like that, in my opinion.
Yeah.
They needed somebody with experience who brings in like a bit of an attitude.
Yeah. I mean, players, you would think players wouldn't really like coaching changes in certain situations, but I think that this is a good hire. I mean, he has a ton of experience. I mean, 25 plus years. I mean, he was assistant coach for the Lightning in 2022. So he was a part of that group, winning the cup. From Detroit, coached there. So I mean, they're a young upcoming team. They have Bedard, who's he's already is a star. And they have Frank Nazar, who's been dominating the Worlds he just finished his rookie year. So I mean, I think the Blackhawks have a pretty good. They still have like a few more years of a little bit of rebuilding, but I mean, we'll see what happens. I think it's a decent hire.
Exactly. I mean, and you've played with various coaches, and I played with different coaches, but and you've switched coaches, and you know what that means to a player. Like, what do you feel like when you're in like a camp for the first time with a brand new coach?
Okay, so I'm glad you brought that up because my 16U year, so it's my third year playing AAA hockey. I was in my groove. I got used to the speed of that level. And we had this coach that we just got, and I'll put this in a similar situation with the Flyers. He was kind of similar to Torts, where he liked that old school kind of game, and really didn't like the cute, fancy, creative stuff. So and that's what my game was. I like being creative, like making plays to set up my teammates. And I don't know, it just I didn't love the game as much as I used to, and it just affected my game a lot. And fortunately for me, he stepped away halfway through the season, and our assistant coach took over, and he actually played college hockey at UNH and played for my team growing up. So I mean, just because of that change, and he was a little bit more laid back, but he gave it to you sometimes when you messed up. But I mean, even that little change can help you so much in the long run. I mean, our team, I think we went 16 games unbeaten, made league playoffs, districts. We ended up playing Cole Hudson.
Right.
I mean, I just started to love the game, and I started to play better. So I mean, every player is different in this kind of situation. Some players like that hard style of coaching, and then some players like the lay back and let you be creative. So I think especially in the Flyer situation, is very similar.
Yeah.
You have Tocchet, who used to play for the Flyers, and then you have Torts, who kind of likes that old style of hockey, and you can kind of see players like York, sometimes Michkov, they kind of let it get to their game. And then you saw once they fired Tortorella, the Flyers went undefeated or lost maybe one game.
I think they lost 2 games.
Yeah, I mean, that kind of stuff matters in a team, morale and chemistry. So I really like the hire, especially for the Flyers. I think especially because the Metro is not really as strong as it was 10 years ago.
Yeah, nowhere near the
and the Flyers almost made the playoffs last year in their rebuild. Not this past season, but
this before that. Yeah,
they choked at the end. But I mean, the team has this talent. We have a good young core.
Yeah.
We have a good draft pick this year. And then you have guys like Danny Briere, Keith Jones, Rick Tocchet, who have played for the Flyers and know the culture, know the city. And the players respect that because they've done what they're doing right now. So
exactly.
I'm really looking forward to Tocchet and see how he develops this team and hopefully leads them to a playoffs.
I agree completely. And so they fired LaPerriere yesterday.
I can see that. But he's still with the organization, right?
Yeah, he's going to still be with the organization. I mean, he's beloved in the organization.
Yeah.
He's one of those guys that, since he was a player, people have loved him. But a lot of people were upset. I got a lot of emails from friends of mine, or just they don't follow Lappy. They fired Lappy. That's terrible. And to be honest, it has to be that way because you need to give Tocchet the freedom to do what he wants to do. Like Tocchet should be the one naming that coach, in my opinion, because at the end of the day, that system has to be the same as the Flyers system that they're playing.
Mm-hmm.
And that really wasn't the case the last couple of years with the Flyers and the Phantoms. I mean, they tried to be the same system, but I can't even really think of many Phantoms that came up and made like a huge impression.
Yeah. Now, the Flyers do have a lot of prospects.
Yeah.
I do like Alex Bump, who we've talked about.
Yeah.
Who else?
Well,
Oliver Bonk.
Yeah, Jets still in my mind.
Yeah, so we saw Bump play with the Phantoms in their playoff run, and he played very well. So
yeah.
I mean, a change does need to happen because ultimately, the Phantoms, is what makes the Flyers good in the future. You need these guys to develop in a correct way, and obviously, it hasn't been working the past 10 years. We haven't.
I mean, guys like Lycksell came in. I like Ollie Lycksell a lot, actually. But
Lycksell has been.
I think he's
good in the AHL.
People give him credit for. I even thought the NHL at times he looked really good.
Mm-hmm.
But he's an older guy, so he's not he's not a young guy at all. So, but you're right about developing these younger guys, and that's And the other thing about a coaching change that I've talked to players about over the years, and really do believe this is a big deal too, is that over the time Tortorella has been the coach. Just use him as an example here. A lot of Flyers players have developed a lot of baggage about their game with Tortorella. So there's skeletons in their closets basically that Tortorella can always bring up even if they've improved their game, they can always bring. Now you're looking like you did 2 years ago, whatever, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Players just love to get to throw that baggage away when a new coach comes in. That's a big deal. You can come in, and just now you're you again, and you can do what it's similar to how we see players go to other teams and take off.
Yeah, I mean, when you have I think Torts is a great coach. He had a great career, but that kind of style, the style that he likes to coach, it just doesn't really work. It doesn't translate now in this day and age. Young kids want to see those flashy plays and those highlight reel plays, and that's what makes people love hockey now. It's not people love the fighting part, but it's not really a big aspect in the game now.
Not anymore.
And when you let players play their own game, be creative, mistakes happen, dumb mistakes. If you do something there's a right place and time for things to happen, but you have to let players play their own style of game and let them be creative, because ultimately that's how they're going to get better. You teach them what they're doing wrong, but you can't throw the guy out under the bus in media.
Yeah,
because that's a part of the game,
that it really is. And it always felt like he was dealing with his grandchildren almost in a weird way. What I mean? There was such a difference between, it's not these are my kids. These are another generation beyond that, it's really, it really felt where a lot of players are these kids are doing well, and they feel like they're maybe their dad or in that genre age.
As someone in the comments said about Marty St. Louis, and you saw Cole Caulfield when he first got the league. I mean, he won the Hobie Baker Award, was star in college, World Juniors, whatever. And then you see right after his first playoff run where he did play really well. I mean, he really struggled that first season, got sent down. Once they make that coaching change, you have a guy that's similar to Caulfield, and he's teaching him the game the right way, to play to translate in the NHL, and you see the success now. So
that had to be the dream coach for Caulfield. He had to be
perfect scenario for him.
Yeah, you couldn't have made it better. You couldn't have fitted it better. I mean, it's just and Marty. Originally I criticized him because he was all offense. That team, and they were getting beaten still because they were giving up a lot of goals. But as time went on, last year especially, they became good defensively when they had to be. They were able to shut things down, and that's why they end up in the playoffs and stuff like that. They were worthwhile.
Lane Hudson.
Yeah, well, and Hudson doesn't hurt either. It doesn't hurt Lane Hudson to your team, which definitely he changed everything immediately. But that's so someone that we can get into this too before we get into the last topic I have, which is Zach asked about Mac or Bedard. This would be Macklin Celebrini or Connor Bedard. I have my opinion. What's yours?
It's really hard because, to be honest with you, they're both very, very skilled. But in my opinion, I would take Celebrini over Bedard. I mean, Bedard's very, very smart, has a wicked shot. But I mean, Celebrini played on the worst team in the league by far.
Yeah.
And put up what, like 50, 60 points.
Yeah.
And you're seeing him play at the World Championships now and play with Sidney Crosby. And you said Konechny, right?
Yes, that's the line right now.
And I mean, you've been seeing how well he's been playing at this high level. And he was in 06 and is probably going to win the Calder. So, and
I know.
Insane. That is crazy.
He is so freaking talented. Like when I first watched him live, and I talked to Kevin Allen on the podcast on Tuesday because he said the same thing. When I first watched him live, I'm like, this is the next one. Like that, it was obvious to me. Like there's a lot of people who come along and they always talk about the next one. For when we were younger, that was like Gretzky to Mario to Connor McDavid. This is the next one. You know, like there's that other level beyond, even beyond Nathan McKinnon, even beyond like Jaromir Jagr. It's just like I look at. Celebrini plays the same game as Crosby plays, which is what's so fun about watching them play together. And they're on at 2:00 today. They're going to be on. They're going to be taking on the powerhouse of Denmark, who has Nikolai Ehlers. They've got him. That's about it, though. So this is going to be another tough one for them. But I mean, beating Sweden was huge.
Yeah.
So
going back to I don't know why, but like I've been seeing a lot of comparisons with Celebrini and Will Smith, and then Patrick Kane and Jonathan Toews. You kind of get that like vibe a little bit. Obviously, the Sharks are not where the Blackhawks used to be, but you kind of get that vibe of like these guys who are American and Canadian, very similar in age, who are both playing very well at very young age. So I'm really excited to see the future of that Sharks team. I think they have a good young core. They have a pretty decent draft pick. They kind of got screwed a little bit in this year's lottery. But I mean, don't be surprised in the next couple of years the Stars start to make a run, because I mean these two guys are.
Oh yeah, the Sharks are going to be. They're going to be amazing. And he's doing a good job building them too. Like he really is. They were bad, but they're not going to be bad for long. They're one of these teams. They remind me of like early. Not really Crosby, because Crosby was pretty good. They got pretty good right away with Crosby, but I'd say like early Chicago, even with Patrick Kane and Jonathan Toews, they were there right away. And going way back, like when Edmonton came from the WHL to the NHL, they had really young Gretzky and really young Messier, and they would sometimes look unbelievable and sometimes look terrible. So it's just, that's the way young teams play, right? That's
exactly. And you could see the whole season, even though they were the worst team in the league, they were having their whole team was having fun out there. Like you saw like the stuff on social media with Will Smith, Celebrini, and Foley. Like you see that stuff with this team, and that goes a long way. Like it would be a different situation if like everyone on the team was just miserable all the time, but you can tell like they're having fun out there, and that's why, in my opinion, they're playing so well, because they're not letting the games itself get in their head. Like they're still playing their own game. They're still producing a lot of good numbers for them. So don't be surprised about these Sharks.
Yeah, they're gonna be there. And I think as much as I like Bedard, I think Celebrini makes players around him better than Bedard so far. And I think Bedard has maybe more raw, like if he was just a breakaway skills and stuff like that, he might have more of that going on.
100%.
But I think that I'd rather have Celebrini. If I could pick one or the other, I think I'd pick Celebrini, like just because he's going to make your team better. I am forever angry at him for aligning with Canada, but because my
States.
Yeah, my wife's best friend out in San Jose, and I lived in San Jose for a couple of years myself. But my wife's best friend, her son played with Celebrini on that San Jose team.
On that Junior Sharks?
Yeah, the Junior Sharks team, yeah. And all I knew about Celebrini was like, his mom makes really good cookies for the time whenever the parties took place,
I mean, also another thing about him is he's been around this pro sport environment since he was born. His dad is the athletic trainer or something like that with the Golden State Warriors. So he's been around greatness with Curry and Draymond. I've seen them shout him out a few times, and you can see that translate. Like he knows. He's very well prepared every single game. He's very professional. And you're seeing that translate now in the NHL at such a young age.
It's crazy. And it's just like, come on, like he should be he's a San Jose kid, for crying out loud. What are you doing playing for Team Canada? You know, like
Yeah,
he grew. I mean, he born in Canada, I get it, but he definitely grew up in San Jose.
Yeah, and then he played. Him and Cole Eiserman actually played together at Shattuck St. Mary's for a few years.
Yeah, right.
And like,
American place, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Usually considered an American place. I mean, but Crosby played there too. So like, there's
and who else? I feel like did Taves play there? No, I know. No,
I don't know.
Another Canadian player. I know a few other Canadian players.
If you never think of, I just know Crosby was the famous one who played there.
Yeah.
But and I this play. I mean, what the Sharks are getting for their money right now is Celebrini playing with Crosby every day.
It's really fun to watch.
That's completely like invaluable. Like, there's nothing they could do better than get this kid on the line with Crosby every day, because it's like, you know. And speaking of that, I wanted to talk a little bit about all-star teams like this, like sort of like, I know you've been involved in the two, where you're suddenly on a team of like the best players or the better players in the league, right? And you have a new coach, and you're in this situation where you're meeting new players, and you know, a lot of you guys play together a lot of different places, and you learn, you know players in other teams really well, especially the good players, you know. So, and right now we're seeing, like, I wanted to see like what it means for like a Celebrini to do that, what it means for like a Konechny to play there. Like, Konechny was the player of the game the other day at the Sweden Canada game, which was like pretty crazy. Like, you know, this is Konechny, who people have been yelling at for half the season here in Philly. He made an unbelievable pass where he was on his back and he got it over to McKinnon.
Mm-hmm.
I guess. Sorry. McKinnon is playing with Konechny. Forster's playing with.
Oh yeah, Forster. That's what it is. Yeah.
Forster scored a goal. Yeah, I mean, these two Flyers who, you know, around here, like in Philadelphia area, they're like, oh, all of our players suck. They don't. I mean, these.
Oh yeah, and Sanheim has been playing good too. We scored the other day, so I mean, it's good to see the Flyers doing well and competing. I mean, there's a lot of players that don't want to play in these tournaments. They'd rather just chill and relax. Yeah. But I mean, it's great to see that these players want to play. They want to get better. They want to play with these really good players. And I mean, I'm really, really interested to see how this Flyers team is in the fall. I mean, we have the team. We have that team to do it. We're still young though, but I mean, the players have that hunger to make the playoffs, in my opinion. Like, they've got
a lot they have to do, because they have to add like a lot of people think they have to add the center for sure, and they're going to
need a draft or sign a center this offseason. I think with this 6th overall pick, we need a center really bad. Yeah. And also, we need a star goalie. We haven't had a star goalie since
since Carter Hart. Really, I would say Carter Hart basically.
I wouldn't even consider him like a huge. He was on his way. He led us to one playoff that was in the bubble. Like, we need one, and we let Bobrovsky go. I mean, we haven't had it in a while. I mean, since Kelly Lindbergh?
Yeah, maybe Kelly Lindbergh. Bobrovsky wasn't very good. Marty Biron was okay, but he had him for a while. But that was going way back. Yeah, and these are going way back with a lot of these goalies. I mean, Hextall came after Lindbergh.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm young.
I would say Ron. Yeah, I would say Ron Hextall. It's hard to like put in my head too, whether one came first or that one, but it was Hextall was after him, and he was a star goalie, but he was also kind of like a Skinner type goalie, where and I never felt like comfortable with him in there. Like he was the first to handle the puck like he did, and that was amazing. Like, you have another defenseman, he was the first to score a goal, obviously, but he was the first to just like direct the defense. But he also let in some really bad goals, and that was kind of Hextall's legacy here. But yeah, since Hextall, which is, we're talking like not in the 2000s, I guess Boucher was pretty good, but he's in the 2000s, but that's like, that really wasn't ever, he never really took it over as the big guy. Like, he was rookie of the year when he first played with Flyers, but then he went away and then came back. Yeah. So I don't really know.
The pain as a Flyers fan never goes away.
Every year. Has been it. And the crazy thing about it, when I was a kid, it was the opposite of that. Like, they went from Bernie Perron to I forget who they went to after Bernie, but he was another really good goalie.
I'm liking to.
Yeah, there was another good goalie there before you get to Pelle Lindbergh and then you get to Hextall. So there was another good goalie in there, and they really just had that was the one thing you never had to worry about. Like probably New Jersey Devil fans for all those years with Brodeur never had to think about it. Rangers don't have to think about it now. They just got the guy who's going to be the guy, and that Bob Froese was in there. Yeah, but I wouldn't call him a a star goalie. He was good. He was good, but he wasn't a star goalie. There's somebody else in there. I'll figure it out.
Yeah, I'm blanking right now.
That's way before your time, man. You know, you're excused.
Yeah.
I lived through it, so I should remember it. Yeah. So, but I think the main thing that we can kind of shift into now is some of the offer sheet stuff, which is going around right now, and that's something that I think is going to be really fascinating to watch. And I think that's where the Flyers are going to try to get their center.
So who, besides Marner and JT, like who are like some of the free agents that the Flyers should really consider?
Well, I think they'll be in on Bennett. You know,
yeah, I like that too.
I think Bennett's a tough one to like figure out like how much you should pay him, because he really only is like a 45-point guy. Like he's not like in the regular season, but in the playoffs he's lights out. So
exactly. So I mean, it would work out.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we're in dire need of a center. I mean, who's our number one? Couturier still, or we got rid of Lawton?
Yeah, I don't know who the number one technically would be.
You don't like
would be Couturier, right? But I don't know. I
think Danny really needs to work some magic in the draft. I mean, we got screwed. We also got screwed in this lottery. It's kind of annoying because I really like the top 5 this year. And speaking of the World Championships, Porter Martone, we've talked about before, is the only draft eligible player playing in the World Championships.
Oh, wow.
And he's the same guy. So Penn State reportedly offered him up to $250K. So we'll see what happens with that. But he's a guy that I really like watching.
Wow. That's
and
great.
If the Flyers could possibly get him, that'd be awesome. He's really flashy, and he put up a lot of points. I believe he had like 85 points in the OHL this year. And then you have like from what's his name? Frundell. Hagens is. I mean, we're not going to get him, but I mean, he's really fun to watch. It's a good top 10 this year.
It is. There might be getting him because there's a big rumor out there that the newly named Utah Mammoth, by the way, which I think is a cool name. I was a Yeti guy, but I know they couldn't do that.
I like the Yeti. That was my favorite name too.
Yeah, that's like I love that, but they couldn't do Yeti for copyright reasons for some reason. But Mammoth's a cool second. You know, we're still in the Ice Age, which is good. So yeah, let's say before that. I'm sorry. I got I got a broken clavicle here and a concussion, so my head like spins all over the place. So other UFAs or RFAs. Matthew Nyes is an RFA. But you know, I do think that he's not going anywhere.
He's staying. Much as I would love him to be in Philly, I mean, if the Maple Leafs let him go, I mean, that'd be crazy. Yeah.
I mean, and then there's someone put in the chat room. There's Ekblad, who's an RFA, or he's a UFA. He's a UFA. So I think that, you know, and that's an interesting one because the Flyers don't have anybody like that for sure. They don't have a big defenseman like that.
Exactly.
He gets hurt a lot too.
Anaheim, a little bit.
What was that?
I said Sanheim maybe, but
yeah, Sanheim maybe, but I think Ekblad's a tougher player than Sanheim.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah, like
his goal was nice yesterday too. He's been.
Yeah.
I mean, he was suspended for what, like 60 games this year, and then he got suspended again,
and then a couple more games in the playoffs. Yeah.
And then he still has 3 goals though. So I mean, he's been good for them.
Yeah, I mean, he'll be at least. I think if Ekblad does go to free agency, I think he'll be in the $9 million area. I think Bennett will be in the 8, and a lot of people don't want to go to 8 for Bennett because of the regular season stuff.
Yeah.
Nyes will be in the 10, but he'll be back in Toronto.
Yeah. Exactly.
You know, and I don't think the thing is that people think that Florida can keep all those guys, and I don't think they can. I mean, I know the organization pretty well. Like I know, they've had no problem letting guys go. You know, we've seen it happen. Like Montour was a big part of their Stanley Cup team, and they just let him walk because
I like Verhaeghe a lot.
Yeah, they have those guys. They have the key guys like tagged up, but they don't have Bennett tagged. Bennett's the only one like that they don't have really in there, and Ekblad. So, but they've got like the other guys. I mean,
I wonder what Marchand's going to do after this.
Yeah. I wouldn't be shocked if he retired, but at the same time,
I wouldn't either.
He looks like he still loves playing, and you know maybe he'll take less to stay in Florida, or maybe he'll take something less to go back to Boston. That wouldn't be out of my opinion either, because I think that he's such a Bruin heart-to-heart guy.
Did you see him and Ghost go at it yesterday?
Yeah, I did.
That was cool.
Ghost shot the puck at him, right?
Yeah. I mean, it looked like a pretty high hit that he was going for.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously they're getting killed, and Ghost is a little frustrated.
Yeah.
But speaking of Ghost, I was going to bring this up when we were talking about that game.
Yeah.
It was after the fight, and it was Florida's, I believe, 5th goal or 4th goal, when play was behind the net right off the face-off, and the guy had it right behind the net, and Ghost is going in, but he's only going for the hit. And by the time he went for the hit, the puck's already in front of the net, and his stick is in the air. Like,
that's a problem of his. Like, that's what he is. Like he is what he is, type of defenseman. Yeah. And the Flyers didn't like that part of his game, but I still think they should have kept him. I do too. Like he was really a Hackstall problem. Like Hackstall just didn't like him at all. But I think that if he stayed around, it would have been great. I think I've been next to Ghost, and I've hung out with Ghost actually, and to actually see him try to fight Marchand to me was hilarious.
Yeah, he has that edge to his game, which I like. He goes for the big hits.
Yeah,
he broke, I forget whose ankles it was, and he almost led to a goal. And then that whole thing unfolded. But I really like Ghost. I wish the Flyers would have kept him, but it's great to see his success so far in the playoffs.
He was going to be successful. You knew he was going to be successful. Like you saw it early on, and it takes defensemen a while to develop too. So the Flyers should have given him more time to develop his defensive game.
Exactly. And
he's such a good
unbelievable
out there, on defense. He directs what's happening, which is something that they're not enough of in the NHL.
He reads the game so well. I mean, I remember last year when he was on the Red Wings, when it was in the East, when the Flyers, Penguins, Caps, Red Wings,
right,
we're all fighting for that last wild card spot, and it was 2 games in a row. The last 2 games of the season, they try to clear it, the other team, and both times he jumped up in the air, caught it, both times led to goals. He has the athletic ability to do anything.
No, he's incredible, and he's a college hockey guy, of course.
Yeah, Union.
Kunikuyak, right?
No, Union.
Union. Okay, Union. Okay, I always get those names. So I just love seeing. I love the kid. I sat next to him that whole year with Hackstall. When Hackstall was benching him, he would sit next to me in the press box. So I sat next to him and got to know him really well. Mm-hmm. And he didn't deserve that. He didn't deserve to be there. And that Flyers team wasn't. Hackstall had different opinions on that team than he should have. In general, that team got so messed up. But I think it's all the time we have for today, Luke. But this was great. This is awesome.
I had a good time.
Always great having you.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm looking forward to see how the rest of the playoffs unfold, and we'll go over, I guess, next week then.
Yep, we'll have an article from you this week at some point. That'll be good. Yeah,
I'll be talking about the guys who are going from the CHL, who are either already confirmed going to the NCAA or are in talks of going to the NCAA. So I'm looking forward to release that. So
that's gonna be a fun article. People are gonna love that.
Mm-hmm.
Folks, remember, without the buzz, it is just hockey. We will all talk to you relatively soon. We'll be back next week with Luke, and maybe